We're live.
Thank you very much. This is the House Judiciary Committee. It is April the 1st and it's about 3 o'clock. We're starting a voting session on a number of bills. I want to recognize that the delegate from the 43rd District from Baltimore City, Delegate Kurt Anderson, is back with us today, and we're very happy that he is here and doing very well. Let's begin with House Bill 1027, House Bill 1027. The first two bills we're going to do deal with local control of the Baltimore City Police Department. There are amendments. Delegate Cox has an amendment that he wants to offer along with Delegate Wells. I believe that Delegate Cox's amendment, well, it's fine. I think Delegate Wells' amendment was approved by the Baltimore City delegation. It was approved by both I believe the House and the Senate delegations, and represents a compromise between the positions of the two chambers. And so with that, it has the support of both the city Senate and, well, this is Delegate Cox's. So it has the support of the city's Senate and House delegations. I would ask for a motion on the city delegations amendment, please.
Move favorable.
Move favorable.
Motion for a favorable in a second. All right, so we're on the city delegations amendment, which.
What does the amendment do?
It adds language. It adds language with regard to the intent language related to collective bargaining, indicating that it's the intent of the General Assembly that the enactment of the transfer of control will not remove the right of people to collectively bargain currently afforded to police officers under state and local law. It also says that the people who are on an advisory committee that is set up to deal with the transfer from state to local control, several of them are approved by the Baltimore City Council. There's a motion and a second on this amendment. Delegate McComas. You're not.
Yeah, I just want to point out something. I had talked to some folks a long time ago that knew a little bit about Baltimore City, had actually worked there at the highest ranks. And I said, if you had one thing that you could do to Baltimore City, what would you do? And they said they would take away the chief of police from the political control. Well, it seems to me that we're not taking the chief away from the political control. There's still control over the police department with, approval by the city council members and things. And I guess what I'm kind of concerned is that I think the police department would be better if they were separate from the control of City Hall completely. And so some of this, which Delegate Wells has gotten permission for her amendments, it still kind of keeps them tied into that. So that's just a thought. I think that it just would be better for them. Everybody's kind of in their own lanes. So that's just a thought.
Are there further comments regarding the amendment? Delegate Conway?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So if I may, Delegate McComas, are you saying that you wouldn't want the police commissioner to be under the mayor's office?
You're muted.
Yes, Delegate Conway. Yes.
So who would?
I just, if there was one thing, because, this has been sort of an issue for a long time. We've run through several police chiefs for various reasons. And it just seems that if we could just get them away from the politics, I think it might be better. So, and the union component that they're still going to keep their collective bargaining, there's just kind of too many strings attached. And I know you have to deal with the politics, but this is important that this transfer be successful. And I think the less political entanglements, maybe the more chance for success. I really have a dog in this fight. I just pass that information along.
So who would the police commissioner answer to?
I think the police commissioner could, one, be elected like a sheriff, or two, could be appointed maybe have something where you've got the state and the city appoint them, or have a personnel, put together a group of folks that have law enforcement experience, understand the needs of the city, and have them make recommendations, and then maybe have the county council say, okay, we're gonna, have a group that goes through and talks to everybody, and then says, okay, we have these 3 people, and then let the county council, the city council, I'm sorry, make the selection. But the point is try to remove as much of the entanglements with the political idiosyncrasies and all those different machinations on with politics.
Well, only thing that I can think about that, I mean, it's a good idea, but I wouldn't want the potential police chief of police or whatever to be shaking people down for campaign contributions. So,
well, no, maybe we don't want that to happen, but I think, but the point is that just have him away from the politics of City Hall. That's all.
Right. Thank you.
Delegate Juanita Fisher. You're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was not going to comment, but I just need to make a comment on this amendment in this bill. And I don't hail from the great city of Baltimore, and so I don't want to speak for any of my colleagues on this call that do. And I echo Delegate Conaway's remarks. I do not understand why there are people in either chamber at all in the General Assembly that think that they should be making the decisions for the city, other than the people that are elected by the city to make those decisions. And I honestly find it highly offensive in a city with a large African-American population that other people think that they should be leading the lives and the outcomes for those individuals. And I think that just needs to be said on record for the public. I know that most of my colleagues on this call agree, but it needs to be said, and I think it's ridiculous. And as a sister of Prince George's to my Baltimore City colleagues, I support you in this effort, and I move favorable on this.
Well, we've got the amendment we need to do first. Delegate Arakan, and then I think we're going to move to questions. Delegate Arakan.
I'll just briefly comment that things that happen in the city affect districts that are not just in the city, districts like mine, and districts like District 80 that comes up next to it. So Baltimore is all of our city. It's not just for the people that live there. We all care about it. We all want to see it succeed. I miss going down there more. So it's not really just about the people that live in the city. That's our city. It's always been our city. So it's the state's city. So that's why people all around the state have feelings about it.
Delegate Malone.
And to further expand upon Delegate Arakan's point, we have in Northern Anne Arundel County and Southern Baltimore City, we have Brooklyn, we have Brooklyn Park. And I think if we did a poll of everyone here, I'm not sure half of us would know which one is Baltimore City and which one is Anne Arundel County. So what happens in Baltimore City does very much affect other jurisdictions. So unless somebody wants to take me up on that challenge on which one's Baltimore City and which one's Anne Arundel County, it does affect my county. Thank you.
All right. Are there further questions or further comments? As the representative for Brooklyn. Further comments? Seeing none. On the amendment, all in favor of the amendments that would conform, well, the amendment that reflects the agreement between the Baltimore City House and Senate delegations, please raise your hand. Delegates Conaway, Fisher, Lopez, Williams, Grammer, Bartlett, Watson, Cardin, Crutchfield, Atterbury, Anderson, Shetty, Deborah Davis, Cham, Griffith, Jones. Anyone opposed? McComas. All right, we're on the bill now. There is one further amendment, and Delegate Cox, this is an amendment ending in 122 that we can now put up on the screen. Delegate Cox, would you like to talk about what your amendment does?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And looking at the number of the amendment, and our just to clarify, we're on both the House Bill 1027 and the Senate Bill 786, or is this just the House?
We're on the House bill on 1027, and I know that you've got a similar amendment that you want to offer to the Senate bill as well.
Okay, so members of the committee, just to start out, I guess, as my friend and colleague Delegate Fisher discussed, I want to just petition you to consider that everyone who's a Marylander loves our flagship city of Baltimore City. And I personally have taken my kids there, my family, and I've practiced law in East Baltimore. And I've won cases for minorities and Baltimore City residents in both district and circuit court and federal court. And I'm a member of the federal court in Baltimore City. And I've had a law office there. And so I care deeply about it. And I think when you look at our concerns, and as Delegate McComas mentioned, really, this is a practical issue because everybody understands, and that's why the bill's before us, that there's some needs. There's some needs for improvement. The current bill's posture is to give that power back to strictly the council and the mayor. Now, the history of this is very interesting. And it actually, interestingly, ties a little bit into the state song we just repealed, because one of the outrages that happened in 1861 was the federal militia took away the power of the police in Baltimore City and held it for a year under federal power. And then in 1862, gave it to the state of Maryland. And over time, it's been a long struggle to get it back, power to the people of Baltimore City. Presently subject to the mayor and city council for the legislature granted that power in 1978 to begin to have some local control. And this bill would return certainly statutorily back. My amendment is pretty simple in the focus of empowering the people. And it's based upon studied results and the history of policing that has been very successful in protecting citizens. When you look at elected sheriffs throughout Maryland that actually have police powers, beyond just, as we heard earlier, beyond just some of the aspects of court appointment, court protection and service of papers. When you have the duly elected sheriff of the people empowered to do the policing, the result all across the state of Maryland has been less shooting deaths. Now, that's just a fact, and more accountability. So this amendment is simply to bring power back to the people of Baltimore City, that they alone decide who their policing is going to be held by. And it's something that's constitutional. You know, the Constitution of Maryland provided that authority to the sheriff. And so this will move the position over into the powers of the duly elected sheriff. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'd move the amendment.
Delegate Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple of questions for the maker of the amendment. Delegate Cox, did you discuss this amendment with the bill sponsor, any of the Baltimore City delegation?
We have emailed it to, I believe it should have been emailed to Delegate Wells and on this one, and then also to Senator McCray, but I did not personally discuss that with them.
Okay, and then I would just encourage this body to resist this amendment. This is a huge structural change to be adding all of the commissioners' delineated powers into the elected chief. It's a huge structural change not to talk to a jurisdiction about. To do that change, to have public comment on this, I would encourage all of my colleagues to resist this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Delegate Erican.
Second.
You made a second on the amendment, the request for the amendment. All right. Delegate Cox, In your creation of the amendment, did you talk to one neighborhood association in Baltimore City?
No, but I took their comments into consideration when they've testified before us. As you recall, with the Johns Hopkins bill, the neighborhoods poured into our committee and they pleaded for more local control. And so that certainly came to mind when I thought about the importance of making sure that the local communities would have a direct voice. But I did not reach out to them before submitting the amendment.
And you didn't present this to the Baltimore City delegation?
As I said before, I asked my staff to send it to the sponsors, but I did not make a presentation, no.
Delegate Anderson.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, Delegate Cox, do you know how many employees the current duly elected sheriff has in Baltimore City?
103.
And how many employees does the Baltimore City Police Commissioner oversee?
It's rapidly in flux and declining. The last I was told, there's 500.
500?
No. No.
Okay, so I don't know for sure, but I was told that they're certainly having issues with keeping up the police force as it presently stands. Maybe what I was told is that they're missing 500.
Yeah, I think
I would stand corrected with the chair's further knowledge on that.
Yeah, no, the closer figure is around 3,000 between the sworn police officers and non-uniform personnel. So it's 3,000 people with a budget of millions of dollars that you transfer to a sheriff who oversees 180 some folks with a budget of less than $5 million. I'm not sure that the voters of Baltimore City would even approve of it, number one, but number two, they voted for the sheriff based upon his qualifications for that particular job. And I don't think that this amendment understands that procedure.
Delegate Cardin and Delegate Griffith.
My thunder was stolen, Mr. Chair. Thank you. But I was just to say that this requires a public hearing and the ability for members of the Baltimore City community and the surrounding communities to come in and testify. This is not something that should be taken up willy-nilly in a bill to completely change the structure of the police. And I will strenuously ask the committee to resist this amendment.
Delegate Griffith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A question, and it's questions on the amendment, but this is for anybody who wants to answer the question. What's the difference between the elected sheriff and the police commissioner? Are they different roles? Do they overlap? I don't fully understand the difference between the two positions. I understand the sheriff's elected, but do they concert? Are they competing? How's that work?
The sheriff in Baltimore serves warrants and provides security in the courthouse buildings. And I'll look at Delegate Anderson just to make sure I'm not completely screwing that up. But does the courthouse security and serves warrants and helps handle evictions. The police commissioner and the Baltimore Police Department handles public safety.
Correct.
All right. Are there further questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I did have
Second.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I did have a clarification. The amendment is proposed as an addition to the advisory board. So just to clarify, it's lines, page 3, line 7 would be inserted. So this would be, asking the advisory board to look at this as a potential procedure that could be done to, provide more accountability and opportunity for the people.
I will just say to the committee, this didn't go through the Baltimore City delegation. It wasn't heard at a public hearing. In the opinion of the chair, I'd ask for the committee to oppose the amendment, but we're going to take a vote on the amendment and we'll do a roll call. And we'll do a roll call right now. The vice chair?
No.
Delegate Anderson,
No.
Delegate Arakan,
Yes, and to explain my vote briefly, this body has completely rejected local courtesy this year, and it's dying a very sad death. So I'm going to be a yes on this.
Delegate Bartlett,
No.
Delegate Carden,
No.
Delegate Conaway,
No.
Delegate Cox,
Yes.
Delegate Crutchfield,
No.
Delegate Deborah Davis,
No, and I'd like to explain my vote if I may. Out of respect for our colleagues from Baltimore City, our elected colleagues in Baltimore City, and for the voters in Baltimore City who demand respect, I say no.
Delegate Juanita Fisher,
No.
Delegate Grammer,
Yes.
Delegate Griffith,
Yes.
Delegate Rachel Jones,
No.
Delegate Lopez,
No.
Delegate Malone,
Yes.
Delegate McComas,
Yes.
Delegate Moon,
No.
Delegate Shetty,
No.
Delegate Cham,
Yes.
Delegate Ron Watson,
Yes.
Delegate Williams.
No.
The amendment fails 8-13. All right. We're now on the bill as amended. Is there a motion on the bill as amended?
Favorable.
Motion for a favorable and a second on the motion, on the bill as amended. Further discussion on the bill as amended. Seeing none, the vice chair,
Yes.
Delegate Anderson,
Yes.
Arakan,
No.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Conaway,
Yes.
Cox,
No.
Crutchfield,
Yes.
Deborah Davis,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Grammer,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Rachel Jones,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Malone,
No.
McComas,
No.
Moon,
Yes.
Shetty,
Yes.
Cham,
Yes, and if I may explain, Chair,
sure,
in support of this bill, as I understand it, it's a local bill, so extending courtesy to Baltimore City with the hopes that if it does pass, that they can turn the city around for the good of local constituents that live in Baltimore and for those of us who enjoy going to visit Baltimore.
Delegate Ron Watson,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
17-4. Okay, then there's the Senate crossfile. Again, as I discussed,
Move the same amendments or whatever.
yeah, so there is a conforming amendment. This is on Bill 786. It's a conforming amendment, so it would look the same as what was just passed by the committee. We would ask for the, there's a motion on those amendments and a second. Is there further
Second.
discussion on those amendments? All right, all in favor of the conforming amendments so that it would look like 10-12-27 is passed, please raise your hands. Lopez, Williams, Grammer, Fisher, Carden, Crutchfield, Atterbury, Anderson, Watson, Moon, Davis, Conaway, Jones, Griffith, Bartlett, Cham, Shetty. All opposed? McComas, Malone, Cox, Arakan. All right. So again, so that amendment is adopted.
Move favorable.
Again, Delegate Cox has the same bill or same amendment that he offered on the previous bill. Do you wish to press your amendment on this bill?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right. So we're now on the bill as amended. Is there further, could I have a motion on the bill as amended?
So move.
All right, and a second. It's motion for a favorable and a second. Is there further discussion on the bill? Seeing none. The Vice Chair,
Yes.
Delegate Anderson,
Yes.
Delegate Arakan,
No.
Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Carden,
Yes.
Delegate Conaway,
Yes.
Delegate Cox,
No.
Delegate Crutchfield,
Yes.
Delegate Deborah Davis,
Yes.
Delegate Fisher,
Yes.
Delegate Grammer,
Yes.
Delegate Griffith,
Yes.
Delegate Rachel Jones,
Yes.
Delegate Lopez,
Yes.
Delegate Malone,
No.
Delegate McComas.
No.
No, okay. Delegate Moon,
Yes.
Delegate Shetty,
Yes.
Delegate Sham,
Yes.
Delegate Ron Watson,
Yes.
Delegate Williams.
Yes.
17. Okay. It's 2. And I somehow lost a folder. All right, so now I'm gonna go to Senate Bill 600. Senate Bill 600 has amendments. And all right. And delegates Grammer and Arakan also have amendments. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the committee's amendments. And for that, is Claire still on the line?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe what the committee amendments do, please?
Sure. And I'm sorry for that dog in the background. What?
It's fine. If you need a moment very quickly, we can.
Is that a dog?
There is a dog in the background.
Could you tell me the bill number again? Are we on SB 600?
600. Yes. All right.
Okay, sorry. The amendments do two things. The first thing they do is prohibit a law enforcement agency from receiving certain equipment from a military surplus program. And then they establish an independent investigative unit within the Office of the Attorney General to investigate incidents involving the death of a person caused by a police officer.
Committee, the language with regard to the surplus military equipment is effectively the same language that we passed in 670 and House Bill 670. As the committee is aware, the language that the council referred to with regard to the independent investigative unit in House Bill 670, our bill investigated events where the police were involved in an occurrence that resulted in the death and incidents involving the death or serious bodily injury of another. This proposed amendment would make that only that they would investigate death. It provides troopers, it provides for the Attorney General's office to hire, to detail police officers employed by the Department of State Police and employ other civilian personnel as needed. Within 15 days of completing an investigation as required, after the death of a person, the independent investigative unit shall transmit a confidential report to the state's attorney of the county that has jurisdiction to prosecute the matter that contains detailed investigative findings and indicates that either one, the independent investigative unit finds a crime has been committed and that prosecution of the matter is recommended. 2, the independent investigative unit finds that a crime has not been committed, or 3, the independent investigative unit does not recommend prosecution. So they make a recommendation to the local state's attorney, and this local state's attorney engages in the prosecution of the case. That is what the amendments do, and then that is what the bill would then do. I believe that, first of all, let me ask for a motion to adopt the committee's amendments.
Move the amendments.
Motion for the amendments. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, and a second. So we're on the amendment. And I see Delegate Arikan.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to use my hold on this bill.
If you'd like to use your hold on the bill, it's and my understanding is, are you seeking a further amendment to the bill? You're going to need to request your amendment right now. I'm going to say that there's going to be a voting session at 4:30 this afternoon, and that's when we're going to take up this bill coming back then.
Mr. Chair, we have a caucus meeting at 4:30.
I'm pretty sure we're going to be moving the caucus meetings so that we can continue the work on these bills. We'll go now to Senate Bill 178. Senate Bill 178. Senator Carter's bill. This was the Senate version of what's been called Anton's Law. It includes the information or the bill. So as we passed legislation, we adopted legislation in our bill related to the Public Information Act, the availability of police investigatory records. We had basically adopted the Senate's language with some limitations with regard to what the custodian can release. This would reflect the amendments that are being offered to 178 by the committee would reflect the Anton's Law as it was passed by the Senate. It also, however, would continue to include the language that was in House Bill 670 that provides access to the U.S. Attorney, the state's attorney's offices, and to the Attorney General. It would redact family, medical, and personal contact information as well. Also, in the committee's amendments on 175, it addresses issues related to warrants. For no-knock warrants, the House version of police reform in 670 required information, a significant amount of additional information to be provided in order to get a no-knock warrant. That remains and is added to Senate Bill 178. The state's attorney and supervisors are necessary. A representative state's attorney and a supervisor at the police department are needed for the approval of a no-knock warrant. Still, that's also from 670. The no-knock warrant execution only happens between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. absent exigency. This is a difference from when we passed the bill initially, in that it only applies to no-knock warrants and not to all warrants. What remains the same, however, about no-knock warrants is that no-knocks are only to be used to protect the life of people and not to protect property or evidence. And there is a 20-second delay before officers can enter for regular warrants. That is the constitutional standard, as opposed to 30 seconds, which was in House Bill 670. Warrants were stale after 7 days in House Bill 670. In the Senate bills, they were stale after 15 days. In this bill, with the amendments, they would be stale after 10 days. So that reflects the amendments that are included. Effectively, what has happened is the language related to warrants has been included in Senate Bill 178, along with the legislation regarding Anton's law that was effectively passed by the House in House Bill 670. So to that end, I'd like a motion again on the committee's amendments to Senate Bill 178, please.
Move favorable.
Move the amendments.
Motion for a favorable. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second for the amendments. Is there further discussion on the amendments? Delegate Conaway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So now the warrants, instead of being, at first they were what, from 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning to 7 at night or something, and but for the no knock, but now
Still the same. Still the same time for no knocks. For no knock, they can only be during those daylight hours.
and if they are going to knock on your door, then it can be 24 hours a day.
It can be 24 hours a day.
All right. Thank you very much.
Discussions with the Senate. Delegate Griffith, knowing that he has used a hold already.
I have a question.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, I have a question on the amendment. And at risk of asking a stupid question, but just for clarification. So for no knock warrant in the protection of life, there is no delay. They can just execute the warrant in an attempt to preserve life, correct?
So they can do it for exigent circumstances in any case. And that would be to protect the life, or if they were in hot pursuit of someone, they could do those things to go in. If they're in hot pursuit, that's independent. They wouldn't be getting a warrant if they were in hot pursuit of someone.
Right.
So in any case, this is only the no knock warrants could be only procured if they were protecting the lives of people, not property or evidence.
Well, I'm saying, and there's no delay on executing that. There's no 20-second delay. Or so no knock.
No, there's no 20-second delay because it's a no knock warrant.
Right. That's why I said
Right.
stupid question. I'm sorry.
They're not stupid questions. They're just, no, that's fine. Delegate McComas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Procedure, if they were chasing a police, or if they were chasing a bad guy and they thought he had drugs and he runs into this house, can they continue to go into that house and pursue him with the thought that he may be destroying the drugs, flushing them down a toilet? Or that wouldn't be, in other words, because you're going after property still.
Fresh
Now, if he
pursuit.
shot at the police, maybe then you could go after him because you're hot pursuit.
I think they're in fresh pursuit, and I think that's what Delegate Anderson was just saying just now. I think they're in fresh pursuit at that point. They're not going to stop and try and get any kind of warrant. They don't need a no-knock warrant at that point. They're in fresh pursuit
Okay.
of a criminal defendant.
Okay, because they have probable cause that he's got drugs on him and he's gonna.
Right.
Okay.
Well, they've got probable cause that he has committed a crime, and they are trying to effectuate an arrest.
Okay, just to let you know, I have requested an amendment to this, so I would request a hold because I haven't received it yet, so.
We'll be taking this up at 4:30. We'll take this up at 4:30 as well. Again, we are on the amendment from 178. All right, Senate Bill 71. Senate Bill 71 is Senator Sidnor's bill. As initially sent over from the Senate, it included language related to body-worn cameras. The body-worn camera language that came over from the Senate and that would adopt here staggered the implementation of the body-worn camera program across the state. In the House bill, in House Bill 670, there would be implementation of body-worn cameras by 2025, by January 1st, 2025. In the body-worn camera bill that came over from the Senate, Senate Bill 71, the three largest jurisdictions that do not yet have body-worn cameras, and that includes Hartford, Howard, and Anne Arundel counties, would be required to get police officers with body-worn cameras by July 1st of 2023. Everybody else would have, all the other police departments that don't have them would have to have them by July 1st of 2025. The legislation as amended, and again, I should have said, I'm talking about the committee amendments to Senate Bill 71 with related to body cameras. It would re-up the existing body camera task force, retain the House provisions from House Bill 670 regarding collective bargaining and regarding Delegate Moon's amendment that requires that the body cameras retain the data recorded 60 seconds prior to the camera being activated. Right now, they take 30 seconds. With this, we would be we retain the House provisions that would change that 30 to a 60. As we remember, Delegate Moon's bill would initially take it back to 2 minutes. This keeps it within constitutional bounds to make it 60 seconds. The amendments that would be offered again to Senate Bill 71 would address two other issues. One, the use of force standard, and the other related to employee assistance programs. So I'm going to touch briefly on the employee assistance programs because it's effectively the same as what was introduced and what was passed in House Bill 670. Delegate Brooks's bill was included, that was House Bill 88. Employee assistance program was included in House Bill 670 to provide mental health and other assistance programs to police officers. That is effectively the same in Senate Bill 71. Would be the same as in the amendments to Senate Bill 71. The use of force standard keeps what we passed in House Bill 670 in the standard with a slight change, saying that the standard for in determining whether there's a violation of the use of force statute would be whether it was necessary and proportional to prevent an imminent threat or effectuate an arrest with it coming from the officer's perspective. It includes a requirement in the amendments for the officer to cease using force once an arrest has been effectuated. And it does include the language that we passed regarding de-escalation, intervention, and first aid and provision of first aid. Also provides for training on use of force standards. As we passed the legislation, the penalty for a violation of the use of force standard was that it would provide, it effectively didn't have a penalty as such as it provided, we said that it would provide probable cause for a person to be charged with murder, manslaughter, assault, or reckless endangerment, depending on the type of force and whether the force was intentional or reckless. In this case, the penalty would be a misdemeanor with a 10-year penalty. That's the sum and substance of the amendments to Senate Bill 71. Could I have a motion on the amendments to Senate Bill 71?
Move the amendment.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All right. Is there discussion on the amendments to Senate Bill 71? Seeing none on the amendment, on this, the committee's amendment, all in favor of the committee's amendment, please raise your hands. All right. Conaway, Lopez, Williams, Grammer, Fisher, Anderson, Atterbury, Crutchfield, Cardin, Watson, Moon, Deborah Davis, Bartlett, Rachel Jones, Shetty. All those opposed, please raise your hands.
I'm sorry, I'd like to be on no on that, please.
That's fine. That's fine, Delegate Grammer. All opposed, including Delegate Grammer, McComas, Griffith, Cham, Cox, Malone, Arakan. Am I missing somebody? I think I got that right. I see 14-6. I think I counted McComas. Right. So the amendments, the committee's amendments are adopted. There are other amendments that have been offered on Senate Bill 71. And while they may have been offered to a previous version of Senate Bill 71, I'm going to allow them to be addressed by the committee. Actually, I think it's only one, or at least I only see one. Delegate Cox with it ending in 423.
Mr. Chair, I'm informed that Delegate Cham has an amendment she's requesting. I think I would defer to her first, if I may.
All right, Delegate Cham.
Yes, my apologies. I'm taking notes and writing feverishly. I'd like to do an amendment on 71. Do I need to go into the details of it, or?
Normally, we would ask for it to be in writing. Normally, we'd ask for it to be in writing to do that.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to use our new card.
Okay, so you're going to use.
Well,
are you seeking to hold? Are you seeking to hold it so that you can?
Yes, and more so, I think I'm seeking to hold. Seeking to hold, yes, sir.
All right, so I
Thank you,
think
Chair.
that's our holds. All right, so we will come back at 4:30 to deal with these three bills. Thank you very much. We'll be back at 4:30.